Hello, everybody. Welcome to another show on my podcast, Too Good to Be True podcast. I am your host, Pascal Mayela. Um, I didn't do my podcast the last week because from a personal reason, which I will never going to tell. But we have a lot of topics to talk about. Which the one I will talk about the first, the Chris Paul waiver sent home by the Clippers. Now he's like what released, of released from the Clippers. The Giannis situation. He wants to be traded. Thursday night football between the Cowboys and the Lions, and also the college ranking of team going to the playoff now. Make sure also to subscribe, like, notify, and leave your comment on my video. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. That being said, let's go.
Dice is on the beat.
Recording this on a Saturday morning here when I am in Europe, we are gonna talk about the one is the most important um thing that's going on in the NBA. So if you have heard or you haven't heard or you're living on a rock, Chris Paul have been sent home by the Clippers, and not only that, he got released. He got released from the same team that he put on the map, Lob City, with Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, during this time. Like what is it? Like what is it? Like 10 years, 10, 12 years ago when he signed with the Clippers, 12, 13, something like that. And I found an article on Bleacher Report that that Ty Lue or Ty Lue refused to meet CP3 or and Lawrence Frank, the basketball operation of the LA Clipper. He said that it's not his fault. It's not his fault, and it's not his fault. It's blaming him. All this weird stuff. Let me just remind you, people. Chris Paul, he said it at in this something in the summer that it's going to be his retirement. So I don't know what they're doing, but I will give my opinion later about this. So this is an article that I found on Bleacher Report. So I want to share with you guys on Bleacher Report on Ty Lue refused to meet with Chris Paul. Huh. Very interesting. You're gonna read. So let's read this. Let's read this. What's going on? So, LA Clippers surprised many when they announced overnight that they are parting ways with veteran point guard Chris Paul, but there reportedly were deeper issues that led to the decision. ESPN Shams Charania reported that a source said that Paul leadership style clashed with the Clipper as he has been vocal holding management, coach, and player accountable, which the team felt became disruptive. Clipper head coach Ty Lue reportedly was not speaking on speaking terms with Paul for several weeks. Lue said of Paul's departure, It just didn't work out like we thought it would. Just wasn't a good fit. NBA insider Chris Haynes also reported Paul requested a meeting with Lou, but the head coach refused to meet with him. Haynes added the Clippers were stuck at the airport in Miami for nearly 6 hours because of the mechanical issue leading to players finding out in the middle of the night that Chris Paul was let go by the team. Paul announced on November 22 that he will be retired at the end of the 2025-26 season. Haynes noted that the 40-year-old desired for his last season to be with the Clippers, but the team opted to cut him tie with him. We are parting ways with Chris, and he will no longer be with the team. Clipper President Basketball Operation Lawrence Frank said in a statement per ESPN home Young Mitsuk, we will work with him on the next step of his career. Chris is a legendary Clipper who had a historic career. I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for for our underperforming. I accept the responsibility for the record we have right now, and there are a lot of reasons why we are struggling. We're grateful for the impact that Chris Paul has made on the franchise. This season has fallen well below expectations for the Clippers, as they rank 14 in the Western Conference with a record 5-16. The team had lost five straight games in 14 out of its last 16. Paul didn't make much of an impact on the court, averaged 2.9 points and 3.3 assists in 14 minutes across 16 appearances. Still, Paul has been known as a vocal leader in any locker room he has been, so it's not a surprise that he's trying to give the Clipper a spark of his own way. It appeared that the team couldn't handle the fury naturally amid the ongoing struggle, so he will now look for a new home on the final few months of his legendary career. Let me just say this. What is my opinion about this situation? Do I think do I think Chris Paul is a competitor? Yes. Do you think he's passive aggressive, holding everybody accountable from players, managing, coach, and coaching staff rub a lot on their skin because of Chris Paul accountability? Yes. But let me just remind you, Chris Paul, who he is. This guy, Chris Paul. If I tell you Chris Paul resume, if I read this resume, I'm gonna read this Chris Paul resume for a minute. If you look at his career, I will share with you his career because I don't think people give Chris Paul some love of the great point guard that he is. Chris Paul, at first round, a fourth pick round in the first round pick in the 2005 draft. He is a two-time All NBA third team, four-time All NBA first team, Rookie of the Year, five All NBA second team, All Star MVP, All Rookie first team, seven all-time defensive first team, 12 two-time All Defensive second team, first team All American team. Not only that, not only that, he's also a two-time gold medalist and a member of the 75th anniversary of the greatest of all time. You need to tell me that a player like Chris Paul should take the blame for because uh, 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 I think his leadership disrupted the team, yada yada yada. And I'm sitting there listening to this BS. Lauren Frank, the basketball operator of the Clippers, say, uh, "No, it's not his fault. It's not." Cut the BS. You can say it's your fault, but it's more deeper than that. If you don't know, the Clippers organization always been one of the most abysmal franchise in the history of basketball. If you do not believe me, look at what happened in the situation with Blake Griffin. Look at the situation when Blake Griffin signed I believe it was a 5-year contract. I forgot about that, but it was a 5-year contract on the season. The same season, he got traded to the Detroit Pistons. The same year. They they kept the promise that he would stay a Clipper forever and yada yada yada. And what happened? He got traded. And I understand that not everybody in the league like Chris Paul, his leadership, or and how he's passive aggressive. I get that. We all get it. But it comes a time that even though the some players do not like Chris Paul because of passive aggression, also Chris Paul had to hold a little bit accountable too because I remember Kobe Bryant. I don't remember what interview he said. He said that I had to evolve as my career was going forward. I had to evolve of my leadership, who I can yell at, who I cannot yell at. And look, it worked for Kobe. It's pretty good, but for Chris Paul, it did not work. I think Chris Paul is very demanding. Yes, he is very demanding, very meticulous. I will say this: meticulous, so that uh, Chris Paul want to win a championship, which he was close to do it when he close to do it to win the championship in Phoenix, but they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks in six with a game 6 greatest performance from Giannis. Other than that, Chris Paul did not deserve that. As much as a bad organization, you can say you also have to hold a superstar like Kawhi Leonard accountable because if Stephen A. Smith said he's the worst superstar ever, which I'll say 50-50. Kawhi Leonard also had to be held accountable too. And I don't know why people. I know I tried to say Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, but let's start with the leader, Kawhi Leonard. He's not healthy. He does not promote the team. He's all about himself. We got the situation with him with the I forgot the affair. My apologies, if I don't remember. But I feel like that the Clippers. There's something going on with the Clippers organization. 5-16. Nobody expected that. I thought they're going to be good. Unfortunately, they're bad. You got a franchise that, for as long as that we know, The Clippers always been miserable in how they treat the superstar. My final word, I want to say this. I hope Chris Paul find a team that they can accept him, treat him right, and give him his farewell tour retirement this season. I hope so. That's all I'm gonna say about that for this situation. I could go more. I could go more if you want me. If, okay, I'll give you more too, just a little bit. And I also blame Lord Frank for just this one moment. You wanted um uh Kawhi Leonard during the 2019 off season after Kawhi Leonard won a championship, and Kawhi was threatening you guys that he's gonna play for the Lakers if you don't get traded, if you not trade for Paul George, which they did. They did trade for Paul George for SGA, who, by the way, won a championship last season, and you missed the shot to that he can become a superstar. And also a couple of first round pick that I think the league are scared of OKC, which is true. Oh, it's damn true. Like Kurt Angle will say. Oh, which is damn true. Not only that, you missed an opportunity to see a superstar like SGA winning a championship, and you regret it. Kawhi Leonard, he's injury prone. That never showed up. Paul George, good player, injured. Even though they went to their first Western Conference final in 2021, the Clippers were really, really, really very bad when Kawhi Leonard got injured. So that's all I got to say about that. And speaking about uh, Bismo and not Bismo like in a negative and positive, in a negative way. Giannis Antetokumpo wants to be traded. He wants to be traded. He wants to be traded to a team that is a contender. And and I will say this: Giannis is fed up after we've seen on social media. He deleted something on social media. On his deleted, and according to Bleacher Report, which we're gonna read, we're gonna read, people wants out of Milwaukee. So I'm gonna share this video on. I'm gonna share the screen with you guys, and we're gonna read it together. We're gonna read it together. I went so my bad. A winter full of Giannis Antetokounmpo trade rumors is now upon us. According to the ESPN Sham, Antetokounmpo and his agency Alex Sarasi have started a conversation with Milwaukee Bucks about the two-time MVP future and discussion whether it best fit staying or elsewhere. Source tell ESPN. A resolution is expected the coming week. The following ESPN Brian Windhorst said early on Wednesday that he's already asked to be traded. So if you want to hear it, we're gonna hear it. Share what Brian Windhorst gotta say. So let's listen.
Okay. And? Because Giannis said, I want to be a Knick. So people are like, oh my God, he deleted a photo from May where he had a Bucks logo. Guys, he asked to be traded already.
Yeah. So when's it going to happen?
Well, that's the thing. So what appears is that Giannis committed himself for the season to the Bucks. That's what appeared happened. Everything he said in his mood. But the Bucks are not good. This year, when he hasn't played, they're 1-5. And when he has played, they're 9-8. So they've been 500 when he's played, and when he hasn't played, they've been getting raced. What you're asking me is his viewpoint? Would his viewpoint change? I don't know. Like I know that he asked for a trade, and then he said, "Okay, I'm going to be a Buck this year." I know that a lot of people in the league don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
Interesting what Brian Westbrook got to say. So we're going to read this and see on other videos. So we're going to continue reading this. None of this come as a surprise, as Charania noted. Antetokumpo came into the season having bought into a championship roster vision and of general manager Josh Hort and coach Doc River. Before the season started, source said Giannis Antetokumpo would be examining the Bucks for the first 25 or so games this season, and make decision on his long-term future depending on whether the team shows sign of competing in the Eastern Conference. So this is what he said, Sham, on the I believe the NBA Today. So let's listen to what he got to say.
Brings us to breaking news. We say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what is developing here outside of Milwaukee?
Malika, sources tell me that Giannis Antetokumpo and his agent, Alex Saratas, have started open conversations that are active right now with the Milwaukee Bucks about the realities of whether his future is best staying in Milwaukee or the realities of moving on elsewhere. And my understanding is a resolution to this, and whether this could lead to a trade request, is expected in the coming weeks. So there's a timeline there. As you said, 9-13 overall. They just lost a 16-point lead to the Washington Wizards on Monday. And I'm told Giannis Antetokumpo has been frustrated over the recent losing, but so have John Horst, the general manager, Doc Rivers, the head coach. There's been a lot of frustration within that Bucks organization over the losing, and also a sense of tension around the locker room about what this means for Giannis Antetokumpo. I had one source even tell me and describe the situation as the writing on the wall for what's to come with Giannis Antetokumpo. He was sold potentially on a championship vision by John Horst and Doc Rivers, returned, recommitted to this team. But this is a situation where this Bucks organization could be faced with serious consequences depending on how the season continues to play out.
Okay, so the writing is on the wall here for how this could go if the Milwaukee Bucks are not able to make some sort of drastic change now that we're at this quarter mark of the season.
Yep. So let's continue reading this, then I will give my thought on it. The Bucks have started the season 9-13. However, it's pretty clear that team has likely now 10-13. By the way, just for the record, people. Exhausted its limited venue for building a championship contender around him. There were rumors in October that the Bucks and the New York Knicks have had initially trade talk regarding to, so they will be the first team linked in the potential deal if the superstar indeed decided that he's done in Milwaukee. No team in the NBA had better combination of young star and future draft asset than Oklahoma City Thunder. Meanwhile, so there will be a team to monitor thought whether the Thunder even need to make such a splash to repeat a championship is debatable. So there's a lot of people trying to say something about this. So this one, it said it is absolutely hilarious that the Thunder have the best trade package imaginable for Giannis. They absolutely do not have to do the deal or even think about it hard. The other one said, so the Thunder wind up with the Clippers lottery pick, and Giannis, good night NBA. That's what he said. Now, before that, he said that uh, Era Witterman said, for the Bucks to have absolutely mortgaged their future with Damian Lillard, Miles Turner, Stretch, waiver, then lose Giannis will rate right up there with the Clippers. That's interesting. So that's pretty much interesting what he's saying. So let's continue reading. Then Bill Simmons has something to say. Most NBA teams will probably check in the Bucks of the in the in the coming weeks. Thought Giannis will of course have some say in the proceeding. Get ready for all the proposed trade package to be to be floated by analysts. Bill Simmons got something to say about this Giannis situation. So let's listen what Bill Simmons got something to say.
All right, Giannis trades. If Atlanta got Giannis without giving up Jalen Johnson or Daniels or even Risa Shea, could they keep their team, which has this really cool identity right now without Trey?
You're keeping JJ and getting Giannis.
It would be Trey Young, Porzingis, who's an expiring.
See?
They have that Bucks pick, 2027, the worst of Bucks or New Orleans first. They have all their own first, so they could put together 4 firsts, Trey Young, the Porzingis expiring. We'll take Kuzma back. Kuzma will be the tax of the Giannis trade. The Bucks is like, hey, Trey Young, fun guy to have in your team. He's got 2 years left on his deal.
Then the Bucks are just raising the white flag and saying, we are now a franchise that knows we're not going to compete for titles, but we can keep fans coming. And I mean, yes, if you can center a package around Trey Young and get Giannis, you have to do it.
San Antonio is the wild card.
That's the one. If I'm San Antonio, I'm doing whatever it takes to get Giannis.
That's like a brain breaker trade.
It's a brain breaker
just putting Wemby and Giannis on the same team is like, Harper to me is untouchable. Castle, I should also be untouchable, but I have to give up something to get something. I have to give you at least one awesome asset.
Right.
Your fans can say, well, at least we got that.
Interesting what Bill Simmons said. A trade. Damn, a trade for Giannis in Atlanta or San Antonio Spurs. That's very interesting because I never thought about Atlanta. I never thought about Atlanta before if they would trade Giannis, but that could be a good proposition. But the San Antonio one is very interesting. You got Wimby, you got Castle, you keep Harper. Who do you sacrifice? Oh, I know. Delvin Johnson and maybe De'Aaron Fox. You trade him, even though you sign him, but you trade him to trade for Giannis and with Delvin Johnson and Sochan. I think those 3 packets plus probably, in my opinion, a second round pick, because you got the future on De'Aaron Fox and also Dalvin Johnson. So that's my opinion. I didn't thought about that. Then you know what, the Spurs. I didn't thought about that. I thought about the Spurs, but I didn't thought about the Hawks. So I didn't thought about a trade with the Hawks. So shout out to Bill Simmons. So Barry Jackson from Flex Sport Buzz said, "I agree with this. Riley is past City, 2 or 3 guys were moving mountain. This team is playing too well to see a single trade asset and non-superstar. If NBA gave Heat the Hornet pick back, it will be free up for first trade, and that he could make a very attractive Giannis. Another one, Miss Ira Wonderman said, for Giannis, if he would want Miami, would assume their 2 current available first rotor and it takes you pick package from Hero Wear Jacket Jovic, Wiggins, but not sure. And I don't think Bam. So while we are got to have a lot of fun between now and February, trade much is for certain. So what am I thought about this? And I understand. Now I'll say this. I understand what the New York Knicks probably makes sense, but remember this last summer they gave it Miles. Why am I talking like that? Hold on. What I'm talking about? Yeah, that's better. Yeah, like I said, last summer the Knicks paid Miles Bridget for a couple of $1 million. So I don't think it will be a right timing for last year's season a trade. But I will say this: Giannis has stayed. You brought championship with the Bucks. It's time to move on. But I don't know which trade the Giannis could go other than the Hawks, which I was surprised. The Spurs kind of make sense. Um, the Spurs kind of make sense because they are young. They are young. You have a superstar. Um. Uh. You got Victor Wembanyama, who are a young a superstar up and coming. You do have Kevin Castle and you got who else? Dylan Dylan. I mean, yeah, Dylan Harper. So so I try to go to five. I'll try to go to find what's five possible ways for Giannis trading. That I gave two: the Spurs and the Hawks. The Spurs and the Hawks. So, like I said, there's three. Sorry, the New York Knicks is one of them. And you got the New York Knicks, the LA Lakers, which kind of weird, but I understand that. Actually, I do understand with the Laker thing because LeBron is getting up there. You Luka need another star beside him, other than Austin Reeves, but I don't think Austin Reeves is enough. But I think Lakers kind of make sense. You add, uh, ooh, no, actually, no. But before we read this, you got Golden State Warriors, this up, Golden State, Brooklyn Nets, which I was surprised, and I said, and Senators Spurs, I wasn't surprised. So the Nets, the Lakers, the Warriors, and the New York Knicks and at Atlanta. Those five teams make sense to me. So the Laker thing is very interesting because I thought they're gonna keep. If they want to trade for Giannis, they had to probably keep Luca and Austin Reeves together. But it seems like you had to trade one of those two guys. So I don't think they're gonna trade Luca. Austin Reeves makes sense, and I think if you trade uh I don't think. Wait, not bad. Wait, hold on. A package bill around monthly. Actually, no. I think the Lakers, if they want to get Giannis, they need to trade like Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, and and Rui Hachimura to get Giannis. So I don't think so. And you kept a couple of million, couple of drafts. I don't think so. For the Nets, it gotta make sense. If you want Giannis, you're gonna trade like what? Kyle Town, OG Anunoby, Miles Bridges. Those those three players probably not touching Jalen Brunson. If I was, I would touch Jalen Brunson. Um, Another possibility is the the Golden State Warriors kind of make a little bit sense because Steph needs somebody to play other than Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. So that means they have to trade. Like if they wanted, that means they got to trade Brandon Pozinski and Moses Moody. Plus, you got to trade one of those two big stars, Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green. And I think they're gonna trade Draymond Green to go to Milwaukee and and Golden State had Giannis Antetokumpo, which is very interesting. I thought they're gonna keep Draymond Green. The Nets is very interesting. They're in the bottom feeder in the East, and I don't think that um the Nets will work. So I don't think so. I don't need to read it, but I hope Giannis find a place to be traded. So God bless him. And I think they need that. So move on. Let's move on from this Giannis situation. Let's talk about a little bit football. Um, football. So as you can see, the Lions. Actually, let's start over. Thursday night football. We had the Dallas Cowboys versus the Detroit Lions. And those two teams needed a win for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I think number one because they have a playoff spot, and number two is about who's going to want to make the playoff. So both teams was in a state of emergency to 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 want to make it a playoff. So let's try to let me say this. Let's try to read the stats for the Cowboys and the Lions. So I think I'm gonna share it. Hold on. Let's share it. Let's share it, people. So Lions 44, Cowboys 30. So let's read this. Let's read this. So the stat. Okay. So for the for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott had a 31 completion, 47 attempts, 376 yards, one touchdown, two interception, and he got sacked. Huh? Now, now CD Lamb had 8 targets, six receptions, 121 yards, and no touchdown. George Pickens, nine reception, five reception, five reception, and he had 37 yards. And I'm gonna say this for the Cowboys: what can't go wrong will go wrong because this game was very important for you because if you went there against the Lions people, and I told you that the Cowboys need to win this game to have a shot in the wild card, you guys will laugh at me. Number one, they are 6'5", 6'6", and one tie against the Green Bay Packers for crying out loud. Dak did his best what he can do, but George Pickens did not showed up. And speaking of Richard Sherman, I'm not gonna say listen, but here I'm not gonna say here what I say, but listen what he said about the situation of Richard Sherman calling out uh, um, um, George Pickens. I mean, so there it is. Find it. Here it is. So during the commentary, I'm going to read this. Dallas Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens responded Friday to the former NFL cornerback and current Prime Video NFL analyst Richard Sherman criticism on his play following Dallas lost 44 to 30 to the Detroit Lions on Thursday night. In a since deleted post on his Instagram story, Pickens wrote, "This is a team game. LMNO. I'm not the only one on the team. Stop becoming an analyst and talking about player when he played team game. Lots of ish has to a lot of ish has to go right to explosive play. And it is funny because I thought former player would know that such a say and I'm gonna yeah pussy. I'm gonna say this such a pussy ass Richard Sherman who between ain't shit without the Legion of Boom. We all remember San Francisco brother. Much love. Don't speak of me unless you know the game of football. A former player, not no dick riding, not a dick riding fan analyst that act like double team is not thing or is not a thing and certain bracket coverage don't exist. Knowing would knowing you play ball would show me you have a leash, weirdo. Now Twitter it this up, clout out the world. This is what George Pickett got to say about Richard Sherman. And let's read this again. Sherman condemned Pickens for a perception lack of effort saying during the postseason show that Pickens looked uninterested in playing football and that he's half-assed. In the post on X, Richard Sherman responded to Pickens' Instagram posted that Pickens hasn't done enough to merit a response from me. So this is what he said. Listen what he said, Richard Sherman. LOL kid hasn't done enough to merit a response from me. I was working on my third consecutive first team All Pro and second Super Bowl appearance at the same point in my career. LOL, I made it All Pro team and Super Bowl in San Francisco, but that's the fall off for me. This is what Richard Sherman got to say. Let's get to the reading. Cowboy head coach Brian Schottenheimer later told reporters that he would speak to Pickens about the post. Dallas acquired Pickens in an off-season trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and while he gained a reputation for putting a lax effort and having an unpredictable attitude at times in Pittsburgh, those issues uh, hadn't really presented themselves with the Cowboys. The 24 years old wideout has already set a career this season in reception. I mean, sorry, my bad. I'm so rude. I'm so tired, people. But my apologize. In reception 78, receiving yard 1,179, and receiving touchdown 8. And he is the second only Seattle star Jackson Smith Jigba in the NFL receiving yardage this season. When the Cowboys number one receiver CeeDee Lamb left Thursday game early in the second half with a concussion, which is true. I didn't see it, but I heard it. Is what widely expected that Pickett would take over and put up a big number like he had all season long. However, he finished only 5 catches, 37 yards, and quarterback Dak Prescott instead owned owning a Ryan Foreman who had 9 grabs and 100 for 150 yards and a touchdown. So Sherman accused Pickens going through the motion in some of his routes, while Pickens seems seems to suggest that the Detroit defense keying in on him is what limited his production. The 37-year-old Richard Sherman was one of the best corners in this generation, starting with the season Seattle Seahawks, 49ers, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 2011 to 2021. Sherman was a five-time Pro Bowler, three-time first All-Pro, and once-time Super Bowl who was a part of the Seattle celebration of the Legion Boom secondary as allude to by Pickens. The Legion Boom played a huge role in the Seattle Seahawks reaching the nearly winning back-to-back Super Bowl 2013-2014. Dallas hasn't done much winning over the couple of seasons, but after seeing a three straight win over the Las Vegas Raiders, Eagles, and the Chiefs, there was hope for the potential playoff one. However, with this Thursday loss, the Cowboys are now 6-1, and they may have to win each of the final four in order to have legitimate possession. What did what did I, what did I think about that, people? I say this. As much I like George Pickens was wrong, and Richard Sherman got every right to call you out. When you play when you play hard shit garbage, you playing garbage. 37 yard. Look at this. Look at the stat. I'm not making this up. If you think people in the comment would say, "Oh, I made this up," but look at the stat. Numbers don't lie. I'm sorry, people. Numbers no, don't lie. Do not lie. Look at this. Nine target, 5 reception, 37 yards. Think about that. That is not superstar material. And however, Richard Sherman said about his comment about George Pickens, I think he's 100% right. Not only that he's 100% right, he's also a Super Bowl champion, so he knows what he's talking about. Lack of effort in the route for George Pickens, not that good. So that's not good. Like I said, the Lions also got to get credit for credit due because I'll give Jared Goff credit. Two completion, 34-10, 209 yards, one touchdown, and one sack. I don't need to read everybody's stat. I just compare the two quarterbacks. I must add much that we get shit about this season about for the Lions. I think they could have a playoff spot in the wild card. I think that if you continue winning, they're probably going to enter in the wild card in the playoff. That's a lot, but it's true. I'd rather to see Lions making it instead of the Cowboys. So That's what I think about this. But congratulations on the Lions. The Cowboys, I think the only thing is up because what can go wrong will go wrong with the Cowboys. So that's all I gotta say about that. Moving on to my final topic, which is my final topic. College football gave their 25 ranking this season. This season. No. I don't know. I don't know if it is true that this is only a playoff ranking. So if you want, I'm going to share it for the audience. So for the NFL ranking and my thought about it, even though I'm not a real diehard college fan, I'm a casual fan. So let's read this. He did. So 25 J Madison, 24 North Texas, 23 Iowa State, Georgia Tech, Houston, Tulane, Michigan, Arizona, Virginia, USC, Utah, Vanderbilt, Texas, Miami, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia, Indiana, and Ohio. So what do I think about the list? What do I think about the 25 ranking? I think it's pretty decent. They all deserve to be in. And my issue, I don't have an issue with the ranking. I got an issue with how the committee decide to say if, for example, if Alabama do not win against certain team, Georgia, BYU will not make the bracket. And it's not fair for a team that who got the best record in the world. Not just I'm not saying just uh um which team was it? Like Texas BYU, my bad, BYU. But you gotta play with the rule. And when you see with this ranking, I'll say this ranking are subjective. But if you look at the list, what I saw, I mean, both of them will have 10 win, 12 wins, some. But I gotta admit that I do like the list, but I do not like um who else I did not like. I did not like um who else I did not like. I did not like Alabama and Oklahoma. I mean, especially Oklahoma, that they have good defensive mind and bad, shitty offensive mind. So I gotta admit that I did not like it, but also I do blame the community because sometimes the community have that old school mentality. Having 12 ranking team, and if I don't know if I can see it. I don't know if I can see it, but I feel like you know, which I mean, the commission had to change the rule. That's the only thing. I don't know what they're gonna change. If you have something to say in my comment, and I think it's time to change some in the college and football playoff ranking. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why, but um, Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. Make sure to love this podcast to listen to this music on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Subscribe, notify, leave your comment on my video. Don't forget to follow me on social media. It's at Belly versus PMM on my ex formerly Twitter. Pascal Pascal Mayala Mayala slash 15 on my Instagram. Same thing with Thread. Facebook is Pascal Mayala. That being said, thank you very much, and I'll see you